Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for the effects. My name is Eric Siler, and I'm a professor of film, media arts, and communications, as well as moderator for this conversation. We are very pleased to be joined by two people for the effects. We have the producer, Stephanie Lassiter. Stephanie, hello and welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And we also have the writer of this film, Rosemary Quiñones. Hello, Rosemary, and welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's so great to have the both of you. Let me start with you, Rosemary. Rosemary, you wrote this film as a high school student. So tell us about that. Did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to write a film and have it made? How did this all happen?
You know, it's a funny story. I wrote it like it was summer and it was nighttime, and I like writing at night. Like at night, all of my inspiration comes. So it was like one night, and I was wanting to write a story, and the story that I wanted to write, like I wanted it to get somewhere. Like I wanted it to be like a film, a series, whatever it may be. I wanted it to be like on TV. So I wrote it, and I wrote about my life. So it took me like about an hour maybe to write it. And then I entered 11th grade, and our teacher, it was like during, I think before winter break or after winter break, around there somewhere, she introduced us to Art of Me and to submit a story into Art of Me. And so originally I didn't submit the effects into Art of Me, I submitted a different story. And my teacher, she read the effects and was like, oh, you should totally submit it to Art of Me. And months go by and I won, and now we're here. So it began as a dream, as something that I was manifesting when I was, I think, 15. And then I turned 16 in 11th grade, and I manifested it. I said I wanted it, I went for it, and here we are now.
There you are. You have this film. So Stephanie, tell us briefly a little bit about the Art of Me and what stood out about Stephanie's story in which it was selected.
hmm Yes, so thank you. That's a great question. So, Art of Me is really based out of the inspiration that young people have a story to be shared with the world, and that is the way that is best for all of us to impact media. Young people's stories for young people by young people to really move the minds and the hearts of our world through media. And with Art of Me, we have an annual contest. Young people write a story. The story is based off of our curriculum question. We ask teachers and students, which is what is power in community? We challenge young people to tell us what that means to them, and the winning story is made into a film. And Rosemary's Story, the effects, really stood out because through her story, The Effects, which actually highlights a family's bond being challenged by deportation, it not only highlighted the bond being challenged by deportation, but it also created a solution for community. So many times I feel as though our communities feel as though we should expect and only receive bad news all the time without seeing a way out. Our goal with Art of Me and our Power and Community curriculum is to help young people start to write the future they want to see, and through that, to inspire the hearts and minds of others to really see that change is there, but we just need to act upon it. So, her story, The Effects, was well written to really show that even though we're going through this mist of deportation and what we all might be going through, there is hope at the end of the tunnel, and her story highlights it with how community is that hope.
Well, thank you for that information. Rosemary, you definitely checked all the boxes for the Art of Me for them to want to produce this and make it into a film. So tell us, Rosemary, how true are the events in this story? Is this something that you may have experienced firsthand or witnessed, or did you make some things up along the way? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so they're actually really true. The story, we see it's true, but my story happened a little bit differently. But the way that we showed it in the film could have happened to like anyone else. In real life, I was around 7 years old or younger when my father got first detained. So I was really young. In the film, we have Rosa, who she's my age now. And so my father, he got detained while working. He was driving through, he was a truck driver, so he was driving through a, those stops, those toll stops. So he was driving through there, and someone, like the woman, he said that the woman noticed an accent or something on him when he was speaking. And so next thing you know, immigration stopped him. And so that's how he was, detained. In the film, we see immigration actually go up and knock on the door of the house, and that then they take the father, and that's a reality for many people. I actually worked with this organization called Ola, and they help immigrants. And so listening to the behind the scenes of the film, of the effects, you could see that like it's something that everyone like goes through. Like not everyone, but like we all go through it different, but it's kind of the same situation, if that makes sense.
All right. Well, that's good to know that you've had firsthand experience with this, and it definitely came out in your writing of
Yeah.
this, and I can see easily why it got selected. Now, as a producer of this film, Stephanie, tell us what was involved. What was your role besides helping to select the script? What did you do specifically to get this produced? I know you had to, work with Mike Berry and Lillian Powell to do the casting, Mike Berry as the director. What all did you do?
Yeah, so prior to us working with the professional film crew and staff, Rosemary's winning story was 4 pages. So I worked with Rosemary along with some other writing support to help her create a 4 page story into a 27 page script. So we went through a few months of rewrites to not only highlight her story, but also incorporate the characters and the scenes that will further tell the story that she wants for the world to see. So prior to the rewriting stage, we actually started to reach out to our film crew. A lot of our professional film crew actually make movies around the nation, around the world, which is great. So really we're organizing the schedule with what works best for the weekend of filming and working with Mike Berry, who is the director, to really help her story come to life through characters. Lillian Piles, she is our casting director, and Lillian is amazing. Mike Berry is amazing. And they really help us to identify the actual cast who are in the film. Rosemary was part of the entire process. I don't know if she knew what she was walking into, but it was just great to have her voice throughout the entire process, from the casting to the rewrites to the actual identifying of the film crew that we're working with, the location scouting to identify the locations. If you notice in the film, we're at a jail, which is in Lorraine. We're actually at a house, which is Lorraine, and then we're actually at a center, which is off on the west side of Cleveland. And it's could you remind me, Rosemary, with the roles, the center?
It's the Julius de Burgos, the one that's next to my house.
Yes, with the executive director Letitia, and she was wonderful in giving us that space. So the location scouting to the food to the aftermath, and then the post production. The post production, our editor, our cinematographer Devin did an excellent job. We actually had a musician who came in to help us create the score. Rosemary, she wrote the very final song at the end of the film, which is actually highlighted in our trailer as well. So she gets credit to actually adding her voice throughout the entire story. I just really curated the process and led the process along so we could have a finished product that hopefully is a story that Rosemary wanted to share and she will continue to share. So just putting the pieces together as the producer.
Well, and indeed you did. Lots of moving parts that you had to put together. I just want to remind everyone, we are talking to the producer of the effects, Stephanie Lassiter, and the writer of the effects, Rosemary Quiñones. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A portal and we'll get to them as time allows. Now, Rosemary, in terms of your final draft of this, of your script and the actual film itself, what changed the most? I mean, directors put their own little spin on it, or did everything come out exactly as you wanted it to come out?
I really don't remember. I know we went through a lot of versions, and like, when doing a film, there's always key points that don't change at all. So I think maybe like minor things change, but the key points were always there throughout the whole process, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't remember anything big changing.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's good. Well, what are you most proud of in this film besides having it made into a film? When you sat down and watched it for the first time, what was your reaction? I mean, you must have been overcome with emotion, I'm sure.
I was really proud that in 15 minutes, I created such a, I like about in like 15 minutes or so, I created such a big impact. You know, that was like my proudest moment. Cause I remember when I saw the film, like in a screen, it was, you know, me and my family, we were watching it together and we were all just crying. And I was like, if I feel this impacted in those like 15, 17 minutes, like I can't just imagine other people going through the same thing that I'm going through, feeling it, and like that sense of like you're not alone, if that makes sense. So like it just that was my proudest moment. It's just like watching it and like feeling the impact, knowing that I did something to help other people understand that they're not alone.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Now, Stephanie, what have you as a producer? One thing you didn't really say was in terms of marketing the film. I'm sure you had something to do with that. What have you done in terms of marketing the film or distributing the film?
Yes, so the film actually, we had a premiere scheduled at the Capitol Theater with a 400-seater premiere that was scheduled, and then COVID happened. Oh no, COVID happened, but we planned a huge premiere of the film actually last spring. Because that didn't happen, we did do a virtual premiere in partnership with Cuyahoga Community College, Rosemarys School, Cleveland School District, as well as the entire film and crew. So we streamed it virtually and all those who were connected to the work. And since then, I actually have worked with teachers in maybe about 6 to 7 different teacher workshops I facilitated with over 120 teachers who have shown the film too. We've talked about it. Some of them are using them in their classroom. And Rosemary has had the opportunity to present the film at University of Akron. She's presented the film at University of Toledo. And she's also presenting the film in other different college settings to not only show the film, but to talk about what does this mean for those who are in this situation, what does it mean for allies, and what are our next steps as a community to really help those around us. So right now we are doing screenings and bringing them into classrooms, bringing them to schools through Zoom, of course, to really give that personalized experience for folks to really talk and dig deep and debunk the myths of deportation, immigration, and getting detained. So we really have more in-person screenings. Well, not in person, but through Zoom screenings at this point right now.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. We have a question that's come in. It's a two-part question. I guess it's for the both of you. The first part of it is to Rosemary, did you win a prize for this film? And how can I get my story into this contest? So Rosemary, did you win anything from this?
The prize for me, the prize was having the film made and, you know, having the film, but we also did get a that's how you say it, right?
A stipend?
Stipend, yeah, that's the word. We got a stipend. But I think for me, the ultimate prize was the whole making it into a film, like, and seeing it out there. That was like the ultimate prize for me.
Yes, that's really priceless to have that done. And what about you, Stephanie? How can someone get their work into this contest? They're asking.
Yes, please share your work. We are doing a series of many more productions over the next several months. So please email me, stephanie@artofme.org, and just let me know. Contact me, Stephanie, which is just you see my name right there in the Zoom, but it's Stephanie, STEPHANIE, at artofme, right behind me, .org. And please, I would love to hear your story. We're sharing this. We even went to Seattle. I forgot about Seattle. We're going in different places. So please share your story. If you don't share your story, someone else is, but it's not your voice. So please reach out to us. We would love to work with you.
Hey, well noted. And this is for high school students. What is the requirement, Stephanie, for someone to submit something?
So for someone to submit a story, middle school age and high school age young people, and just create a story with us. And actually, we have an intern who's working with individuals who need help in crafting their stories. But send a story to us that highlights what power and community means to you. And just to step back for a second, if you just want to be part of the Art of Me group and the family and the writing experience, we do have a publication as well. So young people who have written poems for us, or they've written just short stories that they didn't want to submit to the contest just yet, we are working on volume 9 of our story publication that features stories from around the nation that young people are just sharing some type of insight they would like for others to hear. So there's more opportunities aside from getting a film made.
Okay, thank you for that information. Before we wrap up, a couple of one more question for the both of you. Starting with you, Rosemary. What is next for you? Did you decide to make a career in writing? What can we expect to see from you in the future? What are your plans for the future?
Yeah, so for me, my plans for the future are to, continue writing, probably get involved more in like the film industry and stuff like that. But my ultimate goal is opening up a nonprofit called Rising Hope, and helping, like basically like what Art of Me is also doing, like helping people share their story, helping people find their talent, express themselves, whether it's through cooking, drawing, songwriting, dancing, whatever it may be. I just want to help people find themselves and express themselves in a positive way. That's my ultimate goal. But along the way, if like a Grammy pops up, or if an Oscar pops up, or whatever, I always say, may it be the Lord's will. Whatever He wants for me is what I shall receive. So
Absolutely. Well, tell me this, Rosemary. Did this contest change your career path? Were you thinking about writing or doing that stuff like this before this contest?
I was a psychology major. Now I'm a nonprofit administration major. So it really did. It opened I feel like since a young girl, I've always been writing. In the 5th grade, I went to the White House because of a poem I wrote, and I met Barack Obama. And then the film, and then going to the White House again to talk to members of Congress about an immigration reform. So I've always been really involved in my community, but I never saw it as a career. I always just thought, oh, I'm just doing it. But then the film, and then meeting new people, meeting people in different universities, it really opened my eyes into knowing that my writing could take me so much more than just a office of 4 walls talking to someone, when I could just, talk to a whole multitude at a university or wherever it may be. So, yeah.
Well, okay, you just dropped a bombshell on us. You left that part out. I didn't know you've been to the White House a couple of times and so forth. So you've been like an activist. So you were like destined for this to
Yeah.
happen. So great, very, very impressive. Well, we wish you the best with that, and we look forward to seeing more from you in the future. Now, Stephanie, what's next? Is there another film that you're producing now? What is next for the Art of Me?
Yes, we are currently producing a film right now from our winners from last year. So even though we were going through COVID, we kept pushing on, and we have identified winning writers, and it's an animated film that we're working on, and we're currently in production for that. And this is for 2021, we will have our winning writer for this year's story contest as well. So we are producing more content for our winning films for young people. So just join the fun. We just want to work with young people who want to write stories. And even if you write one story, you can write 2 stories. Again, we value stories, changing media, changing perspectives through our young people so we could get to where we need to go.
Good to know. Very powerful. You two make a dynamic duo, and this is just such a wonderful film, a wonderful effort. It just grew out of an assignment, and look at what you're doing now. So congratulations to the both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Yes, thank you to Stephanie Lassiter, the producer of the effects, and Rosemary Quiñones, the writer of the effects. And thank you to our audience for joining us for this important and invigorating conversation. For more information about the current 45th Cleveland International Film Festival and upcoming film festivals, please visit clevelandfilm.org. I'm Eric Siler. Thank you.